Good evening. This is Mike Pisani for Alpha Shark. It is the 29th of August, Thursday, and we are doing a webinar tonight on deep institutional flow and really going to review the markets and spend some time on your charts. So let's just jump into it. If you guys want to get a hold of me, it's Mike at alphashark.com or on Twitter at OptionsMike. Good evening, Dave. Good evening, Rick. Guys, welcome. Ladies and gentlemen, glad to have you all with me today. So before we can do anything, we have to go over the risk disclaimer. Day trading, short-term trading, options trading, and future trading are extremely risky undertakings. They generally are not appropriate for someone with limited capital, little or no trading experience, and or low tolerance for risk. Never execute a trade unless you can afford to and are prepared to lose your entire investment. All trading operations involve serious risks, and you can lose your entire investment. No trades are recommendations or advice, and we cannot be sued for losses of capital. All trades are for educational purposes only. Contact your broker or RIA for execution, margin, and other capital requirements. Everyone watching presentation adheres to all risk disclaimers on Option Hacker, alphashark.com, and myself, Mike Pisani. All right, so I hope you guys are all doing well in August. Always never a fun month. And so I thought tonight we'd take a deep dive into the sentiment and market review first, and then I'm going to go over the institutional flow and what I'd liked the last couple of days and show you what's going on. Go over my service offering. I have a new one for you guys as well. And then we're going to spend the rest of the evening on your charts and going over charts and doing some work there and see what's going on. It has not been an easy month, that is for sure. And August almost never is. And just to give you guys a heads up, usually the first week of September is just as tough as the last week of August. Volume doesn't really usually start to come back until the second week of September, the week after Labor Day week. So if you guys haven't traded aggressively before, been involved, just put that in the back of your mind. And of course, when that comes back, anybody know what's going to be going on then? Anybody? Want to take a guess? Congress comes back and they're going to be fighting over the debt ceiling. Ramu wins. There you go. So we have all sorts of fun and games to look forward to, and let's not forget about our good buddy out in North Korea. And never mind the political stuff that's going on in the White House. So all in all, it's making for a great fun time. All right, sentiment. Mixed signals continue. So let's jump in. I like to start with the fear and greed index. Volatility is going to stay up. We're going to go over that in a minute. I do think so, SP. So, it wasn't long ago, about earlier this month, we were up around 80s. And now we're down 29. We got a lower at one point. But there's some fear in this marketplace. We haven't seen this in a while. So this is the first time we're seeing some sustained fear in the marketplace where we're not quickly bouncing back to our extremely bulled up mentality. And this is a good thing. And we're getting a little bit more two-way trades now within the market, more volatility. But it's also telling us to be more careful. And this is something I just kind of want to keep stressing to people. We need to be more careful this time of year and what's going on right now. When we look at sentiment on the different indexes themselves, the SPY is down to 47% bullish. We were up in 70-something% not long ago. You can see it's still sinking here, even though market rally today, it came down. Sentiment's still coming down. The Qs, which had been going up, are starting to come back in already, and the Qs are at 67%. So we have a decent divergence between the Qs and the SPY. And it's funny now, for the first time, the SPY is below the IWM in a while. So there's definitely some changes going on in sentiment. You guys can see that up there. The IWM has been trying to bounce here. I'm going to go over that. Not doing too well. Been kind of the wicked stepchild of the markets. By the way, if you guys have questions on any of this, go ahead and ask. This all is free off of StockTwits. No charge for any of this. The oscillators, which I like to look at, we got a very nice signal about a week and a half ago, 2 weeks ago. And unfortunately, we never got we bounced good, but couldn't really extend it, couldn't get really that deep oversold signal I like at negative 300. But we got a good signal, and now we've bounced all the way back to neutral here on the New York oscillator. So we can really go either way from here at this point, kind of back into that area we've been hovering in for a while. The NAMOT, which tracks the NASDAQ, very similar at this point, just a little bit more heated, and that's because the NASDAQ has been in more of a leadership role the last couple of days. We've seen the beta stocks and tech stocks, which had been taking the brunt of the heat, leading back the charge back up at this point. So definitely a little bit of change. I don't know about you guys. I tend to like it when technology stocks lead and beta stocks lead. Those are the names I like to play the most. All right, VIX. SP, you alluded to it. We have a new pattern of higher lows that are taking place. You know, for most of the summer, we have, since April, we've been stuck in this ungodly, uncharacteristically low volatility, under 11 for the most part, except for brief above it. Now, 11 on the VIX has become support, and that's where we're bouncing off of as a bottom. So we've seen a change here within this. By the way, that line has been drawn there for years. So that blue line at the 11, that line I've had there forever. That's my spot. I usually look to worried that volatility is getting too low and we're due for some type of change. So we're starting to see some change in that, and we'll see now if they're going to keep volatility down here or we're going to really start to ramp it up. One thing I've been hearing is that they're very worried about the unwinding of this low volatility trade that's been in place in the markets. And that could lead to a big increase in volatility, especially if something starts going on in the markets themselves. So we'll just have to see how that plays out. Qs, leadership. So what do I like about the Qs? The Qs have basically been holding the 50-day as support. Yes, we've dropped below it, but we keep coming to it now and basically bouncing back up. This morning's gap down, we immediately took it back quickly, took back yesterday, the last couple of days lows and pivots, and we closed right at the top of that little range area, that 143 area, right? That's kind of become the new topping area for the last 6 sessions. You can see we do have a downtrend in the Qs, and that's a little bit higher up from here. So really not in play yet, though it's getting closer. So this is something we'll be watching for tomorrow and the rest of this week. Are we going to rally into that downtrend, or are we going to hold up here? The SPX, we do have a very clean downtrend in place, and we went right to it and reversed today. We also came right into the 21-day and the 50-day, which were all right together with that downtrend, and we pulled back off of it. And we've gotten a very clean moves off that downtrend, and the 100-day, at least for now, is acting as support here. So this is a range you can start playing with on here, looking for the SPX to play between that 100-day that's coming up and that downtrend that's coming down. Now tomorrow, if we gap above it, make sure it holds, right? The one thing I would be just cautious of tomorrow is if we gap above that downtrend, make sure we hold it. Don't just run right out and start buying here. Today was the easy trade, so to speak. To me, without any further news than just that missile launch, it didn't feel like we were going a lot lower today. Kind of felt like we were going to bounce. I posted that on private Twitter today also, some of my thoughts there. Tomorrow, I'm much more cautious going into tomorrow, looking for potentially some weakness here or some rejection at this point. Doesn't mean I'm going to be right. I'll play the action as it comes in, but that's kind of how I'm looking into tomorrow. And of course, the IWM has been really the wicked stepchild. It's been trying to cling to the 200-day. It had this nice bounce back up into the 21-day there and has been, again, kind of failed at that point. And we'll have to see now if it can get above it, hold the 200-day, or if it can rebuild here at some point. Again, it's hard for the IWM to bounce when energy remains out of play and weak. Biotech has been very selective, and the banks, since Yellen and Draghi on Friday gave no help, they're pretty much out of play here again as well. So a lot of people keep asking me this, so let's go over my open positions. So first of all, my VXX, I do have my hedge still. I have not sold it. I was up almost 170% on it, and everybody's like, why didn't you sell it? I'm like, well, because it's a hedge, and it's doing exactly what it's supposed to be doing. That account that is protecting is barely moving over the last couple weeks. So if that hedge is working, as the hedge comes down, the stocks are going up, so I'm extremely happy with the way it's working. What I'm protecting in that account is I have a small September options position in Palm that I'll be holding through earnings on Thursday. I bought this a while ago, kind of lost track of it, and it got very red, so there's no reason not to hold it into earnings for me. I do have a small leap position that's very red on General Motors that I've been holding all year. Not getting what I'm looking for there, but I'm not adding to it either. And then common positions in that account are BioMarin, Twitter, which had a nice day, by the way, TVT, NDX, FireEye, and a small biotech called CAMF. To be honest with you, I am in more than 2/3 cash in that account at this point, and that's my large account. So it's just kind of sitting there. In my cash account, the ones that you guys see in my webinars most of the time or in the trading room, I'm in cash. Every day for the last week and a half, I've been closing everything out by the last hour of the day. Unless I see something very, very special, I'm not carrying risk overnight right now. I'll wait for this market to give me a better clue. Make sense? All right, so basically what I'm looking at here is remain in a very volatile period for the next couple of weeks. That at least through the next two to 3 weeks, it's very tough. By the way, September is historically a bad month for the markets. So just keep that in the back of your mind. Doesn't mean that it's going to be this year, just putting it out there. And that I'm going to play very tactically. You know, I'm going to take trades both ways. I'm going to trade small and quick, be very quick to take profits, keep putting stops in place even though they're getting taken out, and just not let winners turn into losers and not let losers get too far away from me before they get taken out. So that's my plan for the next 2 weeks, 2 to 3 weeks until I see a change in behavior in the market. Okay, so on to what you guys really want to see. How about we talk about the institutional flow of the last couple of days? Sound good? So when we talk about institutional flow, we're looking at what smart money is buying here in late August. And we're using this to really help give us a clue as to where we should play on a daily basis and what we should be looking at. So let's just talk about August trading and September. So right now, very low volume for the most part. You got to play small, you got to play tighter in these markets. They're very choppy, can be very whippy. Algos with news headlines are going to take you out and wipe you out fast if you're not careful. Speaking of the algos, they're stop hunting. Right now, they will go and you'll see these big pulls on stocks for no reason, and then they get bought right back up within minutes. Those are algos and market makers that are see stops and they're taking people out of their position because they can't. So if they're close enough, they're going to come get you and take you out because that's what they're looking to do. They don't want anybody making market. Yep, lead the algos. More importantly, you need to buy a support and sell at resistance. What was Apple? What about Apple today? Apple had a good day today. We're going to talk about Apple in a minute. What's your question, Jordan? About the algos? Oh, the algos, yeah, they caught me early. I went in. Yep, the algos caught me very early in that and got me stopped out for a win, but not a big win. It should have been a very big win. They came in, and I could even show you on a 5-minute chart if I pulled it up on there what happened. But there's big. We're going to go over that in a minute. Volume and momentum in this market right now are hard to find. So please stick to the names that have volume or the stronger names. Names like Apple have been very strong, and they're easier to maneuver and get out of. Much harder to get in and out of names like Amazon and Tesla and Google, which have wide spreads and are being lighter traded right now in options world. It can be very difficult to get out of these if things go against you. So try to trade the tighter option chains, the names that have stronger names. And lastly, follow the option flow. I know it's tough, but when you see repetitive flow, it's often a good indication of what smart money is doing today and where that money's flowing. And you can see the volume in the stock if it's coming in, and pay attention to that. All right, so today on the indexes, some notable option plays today, and most of this came in into the close. This is why I wanted to go over it. So first off, with minutes to go into the close in the Qs, we had a big put buyer here. Next week's 143 puts, 9,500 plus of them were traded over $1 million in value. These were swept. These were not a block. This was not somebody tied to stock. These came in quick. They were somebody really looking to get these in the last few minutes of the market. We also had next Wednesday's SPY 242.50 puts got swept. I'm sorry, tomorrow's 242.50 puts. We saw March 221 puts swept big, 9,000 of them over $3 million in value. Now, that is an Armageddon bet, guys. That is, that's somebody out there who's looking for nuclear war or some type of war or some major event to come. So that one doesn't bother me as much as the ones above it. Does that make sense? The ones above it, they were looking specifically at the market right now. That one is somebody looking to hedge probably a big position or something like in their account. One of the other things, by the way, that got me long this morning is we had VXX put buying big that came into the market in the first couple minutes. Yeah, Don, we could talk about that. You're right about Mew. Then into the close today, we saw some volatility buying. They were buying weekly 32 calls on the UVXY, $150,000 worth, and then they hit the 3150s puts on UVXY. So we saw a little bit of kind of mixed action there on UVXY. I'm sorry, they were calls. I mistyped that. Those were calls there into UVXY. And we saw VXX weekly 54 calls swept, about 540 of them. These were all right into the close. So we're seeing some protection going up and some plays on volatility going up into the close today. So just put that in back of your mind for short term for the rest of the week, right? Just wanted to kind of set you guys straight to where I'm at and what I was seeing. Okay, it's kind of a new format here. I hope you guys like this. So remember, Jordan, you want to talk about Apple. So Apple, start on the bottom left corner. This is off my private Twitter feed. This is what I was seeing yesterday. 160 calls swept, 400,000 of September, $400,000 worth. All right, I was trading Apple yesterday. I had a nice trade on it from 163 to 195. Then they start coming after the September 160s. By the way, they traded 22,000 September 160s yesterday. They stuck to OI. Apple 161 area was a place I was telling people to look to re-enter it. September 165 calls got swept, and then they hit the 170s into that. All right, you like that? So this is what I was seeing. Remember yesterday was else we had? We had news yesterday. Who remembers what the news on Apple was yesterday? Not the iPhones, but yes, it was the event, right? September 12th. They announced the date of their product announcement, Jordan, September 12th. And it's mostly going to be iPhone, but it's not just going to be iPhone. The fact that they didn't sell this tells me we should be looking at Apple here on every dip. Now, does this make sense? Then look going forward. Today, on the open, right here, Apple, 160 calls, swept $1 million worth of them. I did too, Jordan. I bought on the open within less than 5 minutes, and I almost never do that. I think I bought about the same exact time you did. So, September 160 calls swept times 500. September 167 split ticket, right? 70K. Apple, September 165. This is a sampling. There was a lot more buying going on than this. Yeah, it was. And so what happened is I got taken out. I got in this morning on the 165s for September, and I put a stop in after I was 15 cents green. After I was up 25 cents. I was up 200. I only had 10 this morning. Yesterday I had 30, I think, options on it. Today I only played smaller. I had 10. So I put a stop in $150 up in green, and they came and they took me out, and I didn't get back in, and it really ruined my day, but I didn't let it ruin my day. So what the moral of the story is, when you look at what I'm showing you guys here, if you like this private tweeter, I'm going to give you some else. I got in a mentally bad. I put a stop in, Jordan. When the markets are like this today, and it was unclear where we were going to go, I put stops in place, and it got taken out. I turned and looked at something else. I was actually looking to go long Amazon or Netflix at that point, or Micron, and I took my look off of Apple, put my stop in place, and they came and hit it. Make sense? Simon, I normally don't. That was my bad today, right? That was my bad. Anyway, let's get back to this. Look at this chart. A couple days of call buying, a very tight consolidation range after last earnings. We held the earnings gap barely. We tested a couple times here and here. We held it. We're at a new all-time here, and I'm going to tell you something else. We are not extended. This thing can go a lot higher if it wants. It could run into that event here. I don't look at the Dow, by the way, Jordan. I only look at the SPY, the SPX, the Qs, and the IWM. I don't care about 30 stocks. Anyway, so this is a name I'd have on my go-to list here going forward, right? Apple should be on everybody's short list. If you want to looking for a long, Apple should be the name they're going to. No, QQQ and Apple calls don't usually go together. All right. Any questions on Apple? All right. Got a bunch more for you here. Told you I want to give you some stuff you guys can use tomorrow. It's hard, David, because we're in blue skies. I think this thing can run to 165, and then if it gets to there and we have to, and the markets remain strong, I'd look for a run to 170 before the event. Make sense? But play the market, play the action within it, okay? And to short Apple here, no. If I was going to, at this point, stocks I would be looking to short here are Amazon and Google and Baba because they've been so much weaker, and there's good technical reasons for it. Would I short Apple? At some point, sure, but not here. And why don't the QQs go together? Because if Apple's strong, the chances of the Qs coming down are slim to none. Usually Apple floats the Qs and floats a lot of stuff in it. I wouldn't short the Qs and buy calls on Apples. You're kind of playing against yourself. If Apple's going to be strong, the Qs are probably going to be strong or at least be neutral. If you want to protect, go with something else. Go with the IWM or something different, or you play or play on volatility like UVXY. Okay, Netflix. So again, starting on the bottom, yesterday, Netflix, October 200 call swept times 250. A little later, 800 now. Noting, back to the 50-day, see if you can get ahead here. Later on the day, October 200 calls, can you be swept? 1,200, over 2,500 of those stuck to open interest, by the way. This was yesterday. Today, Netflix, 172 weeklies, call swept times 300. Weekly 170 calls times 300. 200 October times 250, same line as yesterday. Noting this for you guys are in my private tweeting feed. They're coming back. We had a beautiful candle today. Retook the 50, retook the 8-day. This is the first close over the 8-day since. Here, all the way back here. Look how far back that is, guys. Am I saying we're out of the woods with Netflix? No. I'm saying there's Maurer here, and this is a name that is now on my name I'm looking to go to here. Why? First of all, here's the finish of your gap fill. We haven't finished filling the gap yet. It's just a little below here, but maybe it's close enough and it's good for here. You're having good volume in here, good buying in here, money coming into it, weeklies and October options. If it can get above the 21-day, this thing can really start to take off. So Netflix now goes from looking at a short to I'm more inclined to look at it as a long here, as long as we can hold the 8-day. Make sense? And if you want to play it for a swing, those October 200s are what I would look at. Okay, next one. Google. I know a lot of people don't trade Google, but I did want to bring this up today. So Google today for me, see the gap? It was on my radar to short it this morning. Here's your gap fill all the way down here. We go all the way down to I think it's about 880, 890, 895, somewhere in that range, somewhere around there. You guys still with me, by the way? You guys hearing me okay? It got quiet in the room. Thank you, David. All right. Look at this. Look at today. I was even this morning before the market opening. I was talking about where I would look to short if Google was going to be weak and the market's going to be weak. I'm telling you this morning, if scalp for a bounce, keep it simple, right? Keep it simple, stupid. KISS. You guys know that. Apple, Micron, very good for longs. Weakness, short Google, Amazon, Baba. First thing this morning, Google. It was Goog, not the Goog with the L. September 8th, 900 calls open times 425. Then late this afternoon, close to the close, December 1040 block, $1.68 million worth, 2,000 of those things got bought up. Okay, this changes my perspective on Google. Right, guys? Google, I was looking to short above the 8-day. Stopped at the 21-day. We need to get a close above the 21-day, right? That's what we need, a close above the 21-day for this thing to get going. Here's your 100-day moving average. It's now on the thing for a long, right, Mark? Okay. So this was a nice order. We don't see orders like this in Google very often, so it's notable. If Google's too big for you to play, you can play other names off of it. You can play something else, because if Google's going to be strong, it's going to lift other names in the sector. But it's worth noting that there was some big buying into today. Google's a good example of that. Okay, that said, if Google can't hold here, I'd look to short it back to that gap. Bottom line, and you don't have to go big here, guys. If you want to play Google, buy some out of the money puts or calls. Buy one or two. You don't need to have a lot of them. This thing moves. This thing was up $16 today. I think one option, you could probably have made a thousand or 1,500 on it on a day like today. So you can play these small. You don't have to carry a ton of risk on these things. Don't feel you have to buy big size in Google. You don't have to buy the same size in Google as Apple. Apple moves like buck 50 a day most of the time. Google will move 10 to 20 bucks. Make sense? All right, moving on. THC, Tenet Healthcare. So Tenet Healthcare yesterday, there was an opening block in the October 20s, 5,000 of them. And I looked at it, and I went, eh. And then I tried to buy common yesterday, and the thing just started running on me. And I don't like the THC options so much, because they move in 0.5 cent increments, and it doesn't move fast, and they could be a real pain in the you-know-what to get in and out of. But then look what started happening yesterday. October 20, split ticket, another this morning, right? This morning, another 5,000 of them. So there's now 10,000, should be tomorrow, in open interest on that October 20 line. And then the fun started. Weekly 17 calls, block of 2,500. I went long common at 1706. What happened? They came and stopped me out. Why? Because I put my stop in the money when it got up to 1724. Dumbass. If I had left it where I had it, which was right at break even, they never would have hit me. Okay, got stopped out. It was a small win on 1,000 shares. Then they hit the September 19 block of 35K. Weekly 17 calls, 28K. September 19 calls. Block on the close. On the close. Literally, the market closed, and this came in as it closed. 48K. Something's brewing here in THC. Sure, Faye. A sweeper is somebody that goes across all the exchanges to get filled as quick as they can. Make sense? I'm going to go over it right now, Pro. A block is somebody that negotiates with a single exchange to buy the option. So maybe they go to the ICE and they say, I want 5,000 of them. They get them from one place at a specific negotiated price. A split ticket is when they go to two exchanges. They can't get what they want, but they negotiate that price. So sweeper is the most aggressive type of option player we're looking for, guys. When you see sweepers, that means they're going to get it as fast as they can. Blocks and split ticket means they're taking the time to negotiate, so they're not as in big of a rush to get it. That means whatever they're playing for, they don't feel is going to happen right away, but it's still bullish activity. Make sense? No problem. I know, because it comes across my screen. It tells me what it is. And I put it on here, so you guys will see it. Jordan, it's always out there. It's known. It comes across as part of the tickets on the options when they're bought. Trade alert, yeah. Okay, so you know what it is. So technically, I like the setup here in THC. We've had this nice little flag. Now we've been riding the 8-day up on it, right? And back above the 200-day, the 50-day, and the 8-day, and the 21-day, all the moving averages, 100-day, right here. This thing could be getting ready to go. Put this on your short list tomorrow in the next couple days. If you can get it on weakness, take some on weakness. If this goes, I'd be looking forward to take out this 20 area. There's a lot of buying in the last 2 days in a name we don't normally see buying. Again, watch the markets though. Don't try to fight this if the markets are weak, right? Watch the action. Watch the volume. Look at the volume yesterday and today. Above here. We've had big volume days, right? Look at how low it can be. Watch the volume on it. X. Anybody catch X today besides me? All right. So, funny thing. Watching X, watching this thing go ballistic, looking, seeing no option activity coming in. Nice, Sue. Nice, pro. Yeah, it did pull out the wrong remove. You're right. Um, and I pointed out on Twitter, all vertical on big volume. AX has no news, no flow. September 2650 calls come in a little bit after that. Swept 75K. Vail started getting swept. Slow mover prefer X or FXC. Hard to chase X here. F60 not playing. And then this came in. January 29th monster. $940,000 sweeper. Sweeper. January 29 calls swept. Swept. $940,000. I got long X at that point with 1,000 shares of common and took it for a ride of about 200 and some odd dollars before I bailed in 3 minutes. 3 minutes, $200. I'll take that anytime. Because it comes across and tells me if it's tied or not. Swept is somebody that goes across multiple exchanges to get filled on their options as quickly as possible. Also, I look for big blocks of stock to go off. There was none going off there at that time. There was nothing but buying in it, Jordan. All right. So after that, X, September 8th, next week's 27 calls swept, 33K. Right, here's my trade in X. By the way, I did not intend to get out of there at X there. So funny little dumb story. Some idiot, instead of typing, moving his stop up to 2603, put it in at 2613 because he was moving too fast and trying to put too much stuff on private Twitter, and got instantly filled and left $300 on the table. We won't talk any names. Mike. So everybody makes mistake, guys, so don't feel bad. So the point I want to make today is I made 3 trades today. They're all profitable. And I got after getting stopped out of Apple early, I kept my head in the game. And I want to tell you guys something. Keeping your head in the game is more important than anything. You're having a bad day, you're having a rough time, things aren't going your way when you think you should be making money or you're not. Keep your head in the game. Never know when opportunity is going to come up. All right. Gary, yeah, yep, I know. Those blue arrows, these blue arrows is where I'm noting call buying or put buying coming in, so I know what it looks like. Just tells me personally how active they are in that name, Sue. You guys see that in my daily update. So in my service, the update I do, you see these charts, you see what I'm looking at, you see it as well. I like X here. One thing I will warn you guys, no, Sue, sadly, it's not all automated. X is always a better buy on weakness than on strength. It always tends to pull back and give you a better entrance than if you try to buy up higher. Make sense? So if you can get a dip in this thing back towards the 8-day, or really you want to see it, if it retests this pivot right here, right, this candle, and holds, I would try to long it there. All right. Micron. You guys want to talk about Micron? 2 days of incredible flow into Micron. So yesterday morning, by the way, I was looking at Apple. We had a sweeper on the open. September 1st, 30 calls, 235,000. That's this Friday's yesterday came in. Mark, you're having fun with your Chicago stuff, man. Anyway, came in, swept it, and it gave the signal that we should have all gotten long Micron yesterday. Well, you know what? It gave you over $1 move yesterday in that name. That's a pretty good move, especially in common. You could grab 1,000 shares for $30,000 if you have it in your day trading account and ride that for $1,000 gain on that open yesterday. All right, then they kept coming. September 1st, 30 calls swept times 380. October 33s, you can read this. November 37s, $1.5 million into the October 35 calls, out of the money. Somebody's telling you here they're playing for this thing to move big. This morning, on the open, big guy, look at what January 20s, $1.1 million worth of them came in and went in the money, put big money into it, right? September 8th, 30 calls. Micron, September 8th, 30 calls, more of them and more. New high off of that today. Nice little move. Could have played that. It actually moved more than you think today, Mark. It moved a solid, almost $1 again today. Anyway, I guess what I'm trying to say is there's things to play. There's big buying here. It broke this range. The next stop for this thing is 32. So if you can get weakness tomorrow and the markets look good, I would try this one as well. I'm trying to give you guys ideas. I'm trying to show you what I'm seeing, also showing you what the service sees. And these are things, ideas. And what I'm looking to do here this time of year is play strong stocks. All right, last one, then we're going to get on to the service and then your charts, because I know you guys love that. UTX, you guys all heard about UTX for coal, right? The rumor that's been going on, and then they're saying that they're going to buy coal at 140. So this is one I missed, and I missed it for a good reason. I almost never buy the company that's acquiring the other company because usually they go down on the purchase, right? So as soon as the rumor hit again, UTX popped and came back in. And they bought the September 118 calls. They were swept $150,000 worth of them. And I took my eye off of it and said, this is nothing. Until they came back for it and the stock was way up. And they hit the September 120 calls, a block at 85. And then late in the afternoon, they hit the September 120 calls, a block $130,000 worth. Look at the size of that candle. Look at the volume off the 200-day. They like this purchase. I have a hard time telling you guys to go back here, but it looks good. And that was some really solid call buying here and big volume behind it. All right, so I've given you guys a couple different ideas as we go into tomorrow. Anybody have any questions on them? You guys are pretty good with these. You like them, I hope. These will good for the rest of the week. These are names you should be looking at going forward for the rest of the week. And by the way, you guys are aware, you guys follow me on my public Twitter, right? I post lots of stuff there throughout the day, note, for you guys as well. Just not what you guys get in the private Twitter feed. Try to keep you guys busy. All right, so the service offering, this will take 2 minutes, and then we're on to your chart. So get ready to start posting, but pay attention here. All right, so first of all, we have my private exclusive unusual option mentoring and daily recaps. And this is what you get. Every day I do a 10 to 20 minute video, Monday through Friday, unless I'm on vacation, which doesn't happen often. And basically we're updating today's action, the overview of the markets, what I'm seeing in the markets, what I like, and what you should be looking at the next day and what still looks good. We do a weekly webinar every Thursday, 6 o'clock. It's a coaching session. It's 30 minutes to as long as, usually I hang around longer if I have nothing going on. We talk about the markets, things you guys or questions have about questions, what you're looking for, positions you could be in trouble and want to talk about. It's really up to you guys where that goes. Every third Saturday of the month, we do a boot camp. Spend an hour to 2 hours talking about either technical trades, trading options, different topics every time we go over that. How many feed? What do you mean do you get, Sue? Also now, including with this, I have a private Twitter feed. On that private Twitter feed, you get real-time option flow plus real-time news and market updates as they come in. On the private Twitter feed, you get whatever the flow comes in. I post everything I see that comes in, small or big or long, and I let you know what I like and don't like or what I think of the flow as it's coming in. You will see me on there like a stock that the options on it suck. I'll say illiquid, not a good one. No, I point out sweepers, blocks. What you saw just now, this stuff back here, this was screenshots from today in order on that, showing you exactly how it appears, Sue. And you can see, like here, you can see my commentary coming in at times, right? If it mentions it. Andrew doesn't do the Twitter option feed flow. He just does unusual stuff, which only meets a very limited criteria. I go over everything and allows us to play momentum in names when we see it coming in, like Apple or Netflix today, which you would not have picked up on. I go over everything and try to pick you up stuff and names that they may miss, or tell you when something is tied to stock or not very aggressive or not maybe something worth looking at. I come in with a very different perspective than he does. I post it real time, so it's as it's coming in. If you want it, I can go pull that into there and start putting it into there. All right, so you get all this into this every day. That's what's included in the service. To sign up, go to alphashark.com/coaching. Summer special is on effect to the end of this month. $49 for the first month. You cannot beat that, guys. If you can't make $49 in a month, you're really doing something wrong with this. $99 a month thereafter. So I hope you guys all give me a try. One more thing I want to go over, start posting your charts. If you guys have any questions of this, let me know. I'm offering private mentoring. So this is one-on-one training and support that can include but not limited to, and it's geared towards each person. Training on options. We can be talking about what type of options you should be trading, pounce sizing, option sizing, time periods, how that should look, technical training, how to trade technicals in the market, how to set up your account to your charts to do technically look at what I'm looking at or see what I'm seeing. So we do that. Trade reviews. I've had help people with this where we do some trading, an hour session, then we do weekly 15 to 30 minute recaps of their trades and what they were looking at, why they went into it, and what I see and what they maybe should have been looking at differently or how they're doing with it. Minimum of 1 hour, multiple hour sessions are broken up into smaller increments. If this is something you guys are interested in, just send me an email at mike@alphashark.com or a private message at optionsmike on Twitter, and I will get back to you on it. Lawrence, I'll post the video once it's done processing on my private Twitter feed, on my regular Twitter feed. So if you follow me at optionsmike.com, you can pick it up off there, usually about an hour after the session ends. Chris, it's a special that's about to expire that Andrew wanted to offer. So I'm not trying to rip you off or anything, but send me we'll talk to you on the side. All right, any questions on the services? Your time, guys, your charts to the end of the night. It is 8:42. What do you guys want to look at here? NVIDIA, Don, I knew that was gonna come up. All right, let's have some fun. So, again, when we talk about this, guys, remember one thing. Markets have to, if I'm talking long, markets have to stay strong, right? All right, let's go to NVIDIA. First thing I want to tell you about NVIDIA, Don, there was call buying yesterday into weeklies, twice. They hit it pretty big yesterday. NVIDIA is in a very, very tight range. It's riding the 50-day. As long as it holds the 50-day right here, I'm okay with it. I think you can stay long. If it breaks below the 50-day and does not regain it, I think you need to get out of the way. I think, to me, it looks like it's trying to rebuild here, Don. May get ready to go if the market holds in and try to push back towards this all-time high up here after earnings. I like NVIDIA. Jailbait. I think they actually had option flow the other day, which is not a name that does not see flow very, very often. Jailbait, yeah, I did have it. Now I remember looking at it. So it had a nice move here. It's come into resistance right here, right? So we're in resistance at this high here of 100. Let's call it 100. It's extended off the 8-day. It's probably going to need to flag here a couple sessions before it can break through and takes a run at it, Don. So if you're not in it, you may get a little bit of sideways action. Good area to take profits if you're in it and leave a runner. Also, it's getting a little bit overbought. It can stay overbought. Look at CMF indicator, chalk and money flow, still strong, still coming up here. We like that. I like this move. It looks good, Don. I'm with you on it. Rite Aid. I hate this stock. Sorry, Joe. Not here to burst your bubble. I just do. I've never done well with this thing. So this is getting to me into penny stock land, and I have a hard time touching it anymore because of this. It doesn't move big. You got to be careful. I would not trade options on this stock, period, end of story. Please, 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 please do not. They move in 5-cent increments on a $2 stock. They can be hellacious to get in and out of. That said, from a technical perspective, it's held this 220 area. It's back above the 8 and the 21-day, and it's trying to get going as the Bollinger Bands are tightening. It looks like it could get some type of bounce. I would look for it to go to the top of the Bollinger Band and maybe the 50-day if it really wants to get going. SGMO. Yes, Lord Jordan, I agree. Okay, you got a biotech. First question I'm going to ask you on this, I don't know this one. Do you know if there's drug news or something going on? This could have been drug news or earnings ever since then. I will tell you what I like. For the most part, other than this weakness, it's riding the 21-day and now the 8-day. It's extended here. I would not initiate here. If I was in this, I'd be taking profits here, maybe leave a runner, and then trying to buy back on some weakness, because it has a tendency when it does this to come back into at least the 8-day, if not the 21-day, right? So I would look to play that. Now, unless this was based on some big drug news I don't know about. So you got to take a look at that, all right? You got to look for that one for me. Baba for me is tough here. It had this huge run, and I was looking yesterday to buy it on the 8-day, and it sliced through it so fast I didn't touch it. When almost to the 21-day, we have a gap here, right? This rectangle is a gap. Right now, it is 8-day has become resistance. So tomorrow, I know it's up after hours. I think it's up $1 at this point, last check. If it cannot regain the 8-day, I would potentially look to short it back to the gap. If it can regain the 8-day and there's some option flow, I would look to try to take it long back to this 175 area, 172.50 area to start. So I think Baba is a two-way trade here. Ulta, and talk about the bloom being off on this one. So Ulta, long-term view. We have gaps all over the place on this thing. So you got a gap here below it, gap now here, and you're on an island. We're sitting on an island here on this thing right now. Go to our daily chart. Just wanted to show you that first on Ulta. So you had a nice candle today. I wasn't even looking at it. Today's candle on this bottom was a reversion to the Bollinger Band. Can you see that? 8 days all the way up here. It is certainly due for an oversold bounce. However, they've been buying calls on this thing the other day, and it has not bounced. They were trying to buy calls on this thing large, and it did not bounce. Don, other than scalping Ulta, I am not looking to be long it. I am hesitant to short it down here as it's getting very oversold as well. Biotech, IBB. It's trying to recover here. It's trying to get back in the game. I know this because I was looking at it today multiple times. That said, it's still a little weak. It's back above all the moving averages. It's tight here. I need some of the big players to get more involved for me to want to get going. You had Kite, you've had Juno. I haven't seen much going on with the Gileads or the Regens here at this point. They've been done a little bit, but nothing big or Celgene. So we'll keep our eye on it here. Overall, I still think that 340 is in play at some point. Right now, it has to take 320. That's your next area. If we cannot get through 320, it's probably going to come back down. Especially if the markets are weak, I would short this in a heartbeat. GDX, we had big call buying yesterday in GDX. A lot of it, though, strange enough, did not stick to open interest, Faye. A lot of it did not. Same thing in gold yesterday. A lot of it was gone this morning when I went and looked. So what I'd be careful of here, we're extended out of the Bollinger Band. We have a technical breakout. We broke this downtrend. We're on the right track on the way up. This 25, 50, 70 area becomes your next target. Let's call it 25.50 to be safe. I would wait for it to try to reconnect with the 8-day. It does not stay off the 8-day very often for very long periods. I used Haas Vivian. SRPT. Do I have a chart on this one? There was call buying in it yesterday. I do not like the option, so I did not take it. Silly me. Options are spready. Gave you a dip buy today. Players still in it. Finally waking back up. I think this is bouncing, though, off of the Kite buyout, as they've been speculated as a buyout name for a while. Still waiting to see if it could ever get back up to our heads. Remember all the people that were upgrading it up here and saying it was going to 100 and this and that? This thing is way down now. But I think here it's a much better entrance than it was. I just wish I hadn't filled this gap. I like SRP. Rad, RTN? Raytheon, right? Raytheon had call buying a while ago and they closed most of it. This is a fear trade today, guys. So if you're in it, James, this was fear on North Korea war military action. We saw it here, came back in, saw it big here. I would sell this pop, or at least take big profits on it and only leave a runner on it. Unless you really think that we're about to have military action in North Korea. I personally do not believe we're going to get to that. We'll get there, Chris. We're coming. We're coming. Oh, you picked up on the 180s and RTN today? Nice. BA is more than a military play, though. All right. Costco. Guys, I have made money nicely on Costco a couple times this year. Unfortunately, I saw the option flow on this and didn't short it on this day, and it should have. I didn't. It just didn't hit me. I believe earnings in Costco are earnings coming in Costco, or were they here? No, I think they're coming. I don't remember. They might have been here. Costco is in trouble. It can't get going here at this point. It's below all the moving averages. Is on the bottom of the Bollinger Band. At this point, unless we see big call buying, I would avoid it or try to short bounces into the 8 and the 21 day at this point. It was starting to look good here until this day. And again, this came in on the Amazon closing and Walmart deal. I don't understand why. But it is what it is. Low for a short. So I'm actually very surprised that Lowe and Home Depot are not doing better here with the amount of money that's going to be spent in Texas on rebuilding. For a short, it's below the 8 day. If it can't recapture tomorrow, I think you can play it back down to 72 area. Needs to stay below the 8 day. So if we gap up, make sure it doesn't hold it first, right? So low, I would look for it there. Tesla. Boy, Tesla today, I wasn't looking at it because it was not participating in the rally all morning, and then it woke up with a unbelievable fury this late afternoon, late morning, right into lunchtime, just took off, and no call buying. So what do I see in Tesla, by the way? Let's look at a couple of things. First of all, we have a downtrend right here. So we could add that to it. All right, you have kind of a little wedge type action here. Let's see if we can, not real clean. Could draw something like that, maybe. Little wedge, getting tight, back in it, right at the 8 day, right at all the moving averages here. If it can get above here in this downtrend, it can really run. It's definitely hanging in there. By the way, and money flow is moving in the right direction. They're coming back into it. Q? I'm not familiar with that one. Ooh, whatever happened here, this is ugly. Whatever this was, ugly. Look at the volume, institutional dumping big time here. It's only to the 8 day. I don't know anything about this name, so I will tell you here that I'd be very careful with longs on this name right now with that. Would I see this? Then again, it's a smaller stock in terms of volume, so be a little bit more careful on it. If it holds the 8 day, I think you can try to play it for a bounce, but watch and see if institutional money comes back in. Cost Q race. Race. Nice little chart, tight. Doesn't move much though. For $100 stock, it moves very small increments. So I think you have to swing this. It's heated. It's been heated forever. This probably doesn't have big volume in it. No, it does not. Chart looks great as long as it holds the 8 day, which it's been doing since all the way down here. So if it holds here, I'd stay with it. If it breaks the 8 day, you maybe get some action to the 21 day and can try to buy it there. Boeing. I always lose track of Boeing, Chris. You need to remind me every morning to look at the damn thing. Boeing, what a move since that earnings. Big gap, and then the follow through just overheated to the 10th degree. Consolidating nicely, going sideways here, holding the 21 day and above the 8 day at the top of the channel. Chris, I like the look here. CMF went very negative and is slowly coming back, so they may come back with this nice volume today on it as well. Yeah, thanks, Chris. That would be good. Can I have my alarm clock say that in the morning if I actually had one? I don't need one. I just wake up every morning. God, I don't know how that happens. I used to be able to sleep until like 10 or 11. Now I'm up at like 6 every morning. I hate it. I don't know. I'm a freaking hell. Sucks. Anyway, I like Boeing. Very nice and tight, Chris. I really like the look on this one. It's a good look. Okay, Boeing. So what is stock? RK, I really kind of like Home Depot. I like Travelers. The infrastructure stocks, even stocks like steel could get a play, like X and stuff, right? Walmart, Dollar Tree, I don't know. I don't know how they would play in for that. Um, don't know. GTS overextended, especially the Dollar Tree. I don't know how that would play. GTS, that's a hell of a move. Again, low volume stock for the most part, guys. 100,000. These things don't necessarily trade technically well. They trade basically on news and events. Obviously, this thing's had a hell of an event here. If you're long it, you should be taking some profits here and just leave a runner and put a stop in somewhere in the money that you feel comfortable. I will warn you, if this thing gets below the 8-day, the 21-day is a long way down. So this thing can pull all the way down to this 22 area very quickly. Qualcomm, man, they keep trying to buy calls on this thing and it just will not get going. Every time they try, it goes for a day or two and it reverts and comes back down. That said, there's some support here. This is an area it's been trying to hold now for most of the year, since February. We can call this kind of like a triple bottom zone. But until it can get back and hold above the 21-day, this thing is just out of play. And at this time, it's still on the wrong side of the 8-day, just closed at it. So at this point, I don't see anything big here. I'm kind of leaving it alone. Again, I'm sticking to strong stocks. Tiva. Yeah, this thing just still bleeding down. The good news is they're no longer buying puts on it left, right, and center, RK. This thing has the look of somebody's going to have to come save this, like Valiant, at some point in time. It's extended to the downside. It's been down here forever. It hasn't been bouncing with it been like that. There is no money left in it. There's only retail left in this thing. I would try maybe short scalps on the bounce here, but I would leave it alone. Or if you really want to, take a long-term short position on it. USG, yeah, it's a good one. You know what? You're right. USG is a construction play. I always forget about them. I always think of that as UNG. I get them confused. Yep. And that's had a nice move a couple days. This one can keep going. I like that. Good call. X, we talked about X earlier. X. We love the X. X. Big call buying in today. We talked big time about X. By the way, this trend line has been money. If you buy this thing on this trend line, it's worked every time. Look at that. Absolute money. Question is, can we get back up now and take out the pivot from earnings and fill the rest of this gap up to here? You guys see it? Yeah, the wall, forget the wall. Rebuild Houston. All right, so right now, this is an area I try to buy weakness on it. I would not try to trace strength unless there was volume behind it. CMF is going in the right direction. We've had a hard time with that, though. Every time it does, it seems to reverse. So just be a little careful with it. It trades sloppy. Every time it gets to the top of the Bollinger Band, it tends to pull back in. What else we got? Running out of time here. Diva X, Cat and DE. Let's do these quick. Cat, I know it made a new all-time high a couple days ago. Cat, come on, Cat. Yeah, pull back, looks good, very tight here. Kind of like Boeing, I love the name. It's really tight. Looks like it wants to go higher to me, Don. This is a good name to go to. I like this as a go-to name here. DE, I know, had bad earnings and got whacked on it pretty good. And there's still a short. Forget the 150-day moving average here. Below the 8-day, it's creating a bear flag here, but no option flow, Don. At this point, it's either a short or remains out of play for me. We did Goog already, Oleg. We did it in the video. You can go back and watch that when I post that. Getting old. WM. Wow. Nice breakout on WM. This thing is not heated. It's not extended. This one can run. I'd keep an eye on this. If you're long it, I'd stay with it. I like this name. Looks good. Nice look, Don. Expedia got whacked on the CEO leaving to go to Uber. They bought big time, I think it was December or January calls on this yesterday. Tried to go into the gap today, pull back. I'd watch this one closely here. at least for a run to the 8-day. Notice it stopped right at the 100-day today. So you can get any weakness in this name tomorrow. I try to buy it for a pop to the 8-day if the markets are strong. Cisco, and it is 9 o'clock, so we're going to do a couple more real quick and be done. Cisco, I got nothing for you, bud. Joe, it's out of play. It's just not acting well. It's sloppy. It's trading in this very tight range. Not really any call buying. It's not something I'd be looking at here now at this point. Facebook, we did not talk about. So let's go look at Facebook. Almost no call buying the last 2 days. So notice this wedge I've been creating. Today we gapped below it, came right back, but stopped at the downtrend. So what's that mean? Oh, you're welcome, RK. David, on Facebook, what's this mean? Do you go long this on the open tomorrow? Wait for a break of the downtrend. Wait for it to go. Wait for confirmation or buy weakness. Don't buy the first candle above this downtrend. Wait for it. You know, look at how many times we come into this and failed. Doesn't mean you can't go into it. Just wait. All right, last one. Last one. What are we gonna do? We're gonna do win. How about win? Winner. Win. 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 You're welcome. By the way, they were buying calls all through this area, and they got paid big time on this move. They bought time. By the way, Win is one of those names I'm going to tell you always have to buy time. It trades sloppy. They're always early on calls. That said, it looks okay here. It's holding in. Win doesn't care about the market so much right now. As long as the markets are not selling like mad, Win will be okay. Just I don't know when McCoo numbers are coming, Jordan. Find that out before you go long, because the last couple numbers have not been good. All right. Don, I don't think he offers that anymore, but I could talk to him about it. How's that for an answer? I can see if I can get him to do that for you. I'm sure I can get you a free trial for at least a week or something cheap. All right, guys. Love having you guys. I'm glad you guys come in tonight. Bottom thing, last reminder, it's late August. Trade carefully. Take good setups. Trade good names. Don't chase. Don't run all over the place. And don't feel like you have to have 20 open positions. Trade one or two. Trade momentum and don't trade them extended. You guys have a great night. I will be online tomorrow morning, and I'll see you guys all then. I'll post this recording on Twitter as soon as it's done processing. Thanks, everybody, for joining me tonight.